what state of current immigration is in, as well as like what state of students are in, because how AI is changing things like daily, and how many unemployed people there are there in the market, like who don't know how to approach jobs.
Basically, even if you were to be employed, like for immigrants who are on work visas, you're then tied to that job. You're then tied to that employer for a very long time.
What do you think like it was biggest advantage when you were going through your distribution channels or like the startup had? Because like all the resources are available, but at the same time like at different places.
Yeah.
And what do you think like it was the biggest advantage for you that allowed the partnership or like enable the trust?
I already had a network of individuals I could approach because at my last company, I also worked with universities and sold to them, to student organizations before, so I already had relationships.
What do you think like best strategy like for first-time funders to do the fundraise?
It's a checklist of things that you need to have together.
Hello everyone, welcome to Founders Decoded podcast. Today we have
Liesel Vaidya, a founder of Entrepreneurship Plus
and previously co-founder of Data Health. One of the most things that I felt when I was talking to her is like she's very social impact-based founder. Both her startups focus on social cause. One is on immigration, helping immigrants to get settled in US, especially students who doesn't know how to get settled in US, as well as in her first startup, she has been helping sexual abused people with rape kits and other mental health software so that they could get better. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Also, that's my old apartment that I lived in when COVID hits. Thank you for having me on this podcast. Excited to chat.
Thank you very much. Today we are driving through New York City. So currently we are in Brooklyn.
No, actually,
Long Island, or
we're in Queens. We're in Long Island City. I've called Long Island City home for the past 6 years.
wow, like why Long Island City? Because like I'm Brooklynite.
Yeah. Well, Queens, home for a lot of immigrants. But also, you kind of get to get away from the city, from Manhattan, and you get a little bit extra room when you're away from the city. And it's very close by. And I live just a few blocks away from the park by the water. It's really nice. It's residential. A lot of families and people with dogs, older.
in a Hogama, Trimla Downty Creve Plaza Door.
So I fit right in.
I'm an old guy at Kurt. That's what my friends say.
Yeah.
I think like I still haven't explored Queens as much as I did Brooklyn because I moved to New York starting of this year.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I thought you were still in New Jersey.
no.
Oh, okay.
I was from San Francisco.
Okay.
So I was like,
I mixed that up in my head.
it's okay. Yeah. My uncle lives in New Jersey, so that's fine. It's fine. So I like Brooklyn in a way, like Bushwick. Bushwick has its own like personality,
Yeah.
and every neighborhood in Brooklyn has its own personality. Like, no, I felt like you could drive anywhere in Brooklyn, but it's not the correct way to live in New York. FYI,
Yeah.
that's
That's why, you have me, Cinder Princess, all the time. I don't know how to drive unless it's a video game. So perfect. Yeah, perfect for someone who can rely on the subway system here.
thank you. I will rely on subway system for like on weekdays. Traffic is nightmare. So
Yeah. And sometimes, it breaks down and they're not up for a few ones, but despite that, it's decent. outside of that, that's decent.
Yeah, no, agree. Oh, let's talk about Lida Help and Emira. Like, how did your journey start with Emira? And
Yeah, so I started working on Emera Queen's Pussy or really came up with the idea with alongside my co-founder Ika. And essentially all of it really goes back to both of our individual experiences immigrating to the US. I came here 10 years ago from Nepal as an international student. And, like many others, had to figure out a whole lot of things on my own. And when you move to a different country, you don't know what you don't know, right? And oftentimes you find out a lot of information that actually could be life changing or in a lot of different ways at the wrong time or a little too late. And essentially, so I went to college in upstate New York. And right after college, I moved to New York City. I decided to work
Continue on
for
College Road for about 2 hours.
years. I ended up co-founding my last company. I was on a student visa when all of that happened, right? So that's quite a bit challenging of what you can and can't do. Can you start a company? How much can you own? Like, there's just so many questions, and there's a massive lack of clarity and guidance. And there's also a lot of wrong guidance.
misleading and
Actually, which in the long run can be detrimental. But yeah, went through that entire journey, navigated a bunch of different visas, like the O1 multiple times. And so, skipping a bunch of things, but fast forward to last year when I decided to take a step back from my previous company, I was reminded of the fact that I am still an immigrant in this country all over again because I had 60 days to leave. My visa was still tied to my last company. And I was very lucky because I had built this network of people and individuals who had navigated a whole lot of things and knew the right people and knew the right information. So I got my visa situated quite quickly. It was very stressful, but and I learned at the time that there were so many more different options available that gave you so much more flexibility, which I had no idea existed in my, at that time, 9 years living in this country. So after I got myself situated, from, an immigration standpoint, I started also, helping a lot of other founders, friends, with their, and, just people who work in tech in general, with their visas, guiding them towards something like the O1 or EB1, or educating them about different if you didn't get selected in the lottery system, there are uncapped H1B programs. So basically it's really guiding up, but obviously different options. And in that time, there were a few people who I helped who would ask me if I wanted to start an immigration tech company in this space. I wasn't quite ready at that time. It's very much so processing and kind of, this very long and heavy journey that I've been on before. But yeah, I took some time to really reflect, think about what I want to do next. I did some consulting at that time as well, with a number of companies, and earlier this year, essentially, I reconnected with Ita, who I had met a few years ago through one of my previous investors, who she used to work for. And the first time we met, essentially, I remember chatting to her for a very long time. He immediately clicked, but also we were chatting very much about preparation and the challenges. She's Armenian. She moved here with her family through the diversity lottery we set up some years ago, right? And so we just had so much to talk about. And so every single time we met after that for the past few years, we would always talk about immigration. So earlier this year, when we connected, we chatted about immigration as telling her, I just came out of this journey and I'm exploring what's next for me. I've been helping all these people and she has
She
was turns life right onto Earth evolution, and she's just very passionate about the subject as well. As she had been, and she also had told me that she was actually gonna leave investment making, and she wanted to do a startup. So naturally, we just started talking, and before we knew it, we had this idea, and it was about turns life right onto Earth Avenue, or started talking to people and really validated sort of the concept. Shortly after, we realized that there was that there's nothing else either of us really want us to except try to solve in this space. So that's kind of how America came to be.
Well, definitely.
turns life right onto First Avenue North and then turn right.
That's very interesting story because like as a fellow immigrant to US, like
In 700,
you always get into panic mode
16
whenever there is an issue.
Oh my god.
And that is like I felt it would be really helpful. That's one of the first things. Like I said, hey, if it is available, like I would definitely do it. I think this would work. That's what like the first thing that I said to you as well, and never thought like how immigration is changing like people's lives.
light right to East
You
16.
don't really see the options that are available with you. You're ready to pack your bags and go.
Exactly.
And again, like you basically start over, and
Yeah.
you're
But for people who, actually end up coming here, for a lot of them, their family sacrificed so much for you to be here, for like both of us and for so many others. So the idea of like potentially having to pack your bags and the whole
In 800, we turn right out to our Third Avenue.
issue, like, that's, yeah, like you said, it could cause a lot of panic. And every time something goes wrong, or if you don't have a clear answer, like, yeah, you just start panicking.
yeah. I think it will be really good startup because given that like how what state of current immigration is in, as well as like what state of students are in, because how AI is changing things like daily, and how many unemployed people there are there in the market, like who don't know how to approach jobs because they're from other country. Like I sit in like resume review panels every week for students,
It's
and
incredible.
because like I feel like I want to help them as much as I can, and like I do partnerships with the companies that I work with directly with students,
See right on
as I'm
Third Avenue.
partnering them with universities. Everything happens, but like looking at like what students are missing is like how to express them, even just going through resumes, or like what they don't know the idea, like how to do this, how to do that. Like they form like the circle. They are in when you come to US or any other country, like you want to expand your circle. Like they feel like you want to expand your circle, but you cannot. Like how do you do that?
So
Or like how do you find your job? How do you what is the right curve for you? Like let's say that you're basically doing like getting 100K or 150K annual pay, and these are the problems that I faced, as well as like I feel it would work. And um basically you finished almost 30% of my questions in once.
yeah, but
Oh,
also like, adding to what you said, even if you were to, were the few people who were to easily find a job, or, yeah, basically, even if you were to be employed, like for immigrants who are on work visas, you're then tied to that job. You're then tied to that employer for a very long time. And your ability to stay in this country is tied to, someone else, right? And that's in general like causes or like creates this
Continue on a current road, but and also
in this market.
in a quarter mile traffic light camera ahead.
Yes. People are looking for flexibility. People really want to learn about different options that they have because you need a fallback option, even if you're very happy with your current employer, like, right? I think like just having that knowledge of like, okay, like if anything were to happen, like this is the other option I have. And like every year there is over 1 million like international students in the US.
Coming in.
Yeah, and similarly like over 1 million like people coming in through like work visas, right? So these are like highly skilled people who want to work, who want to contribute, right? International students alone contribute 40 billion to the US economy every year.
Wow.
Yeah. So the economic like impact is also very high.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, when you see people, when you identify people with high potential, and if you compare like high potential people or like people with potential in general with opportunities and exposure, that can be life changing, and it can, really be
Change.
beneficial
Benef-
for, the greater good or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you because like currently so many, even in the startup space,
Right on like Lexington Avenue and
everyone is trying to bridge with like people who are doing really good things like startups and outside other countries bringing it to US or like even focusing on those founders and like just immigrant founders. They are huge part currently of the ecosystem, like everyone who raised like who are making impacts, some of them in billions of dollars is like
Like over half the companies that are unicorns were started by immigrant founders. So something to think about.
yeah, no, I agree with you.
And immigrants are also more likely to be entrepreneurs. Um, like back home, you don't just do one thing, you do a couple of things. Also because of the economy back home, like that's how we grew up, right? So immigrants are, yeah, more likely to be entrepreneurs. They're very resilient. Like when you talk about resilience and perseverance, like that's just like a given. If you're an immigrant, you have to have those qualities, right?
Yeah,
And yeah,
I agree with you. Like it, immigrants do a lot of things as well as like
turn right onto Park Avenue.
sorry, taking a release. What is your co-founder chemistry like?
um, that's a great question. Hmm. Oh, so yeah, I mean, my co-founder, she's first of all, younger than I am, right? So very, I would say, like I can be quite introverted. I wouldn't call my co-founder introverted at all. And let me restart that because I have to think. Huh. Wait, what's her co-founder chemistry? Okay. Um, yeah, my co-founder chemistry, that's a great question. Um, I've known Vika for a few years, like I said, and I think having the ability to work with someone you've known for quite a few years, that you've spent quite a bit of time talking about the exact issues that you're now together trying to solve, like that that feels really good. Um and so her background is essentially in investment banking, venture, uh, so really on the financial side of things and business development, right? And my background, on the other hand, is building products, engineering, and just have been in the startup space from the get go. So it's quite complementary in a whole lot of ways, and also helps that she is, a little bit younger than I am. Like when I started she's basically the age that I was when I started my first company. And I think, that is quite complementary. because before we started recording this, we were talking about how being a first tech founder, there are quite a bit of there's a charm to it, right? Like you don't know everything, that you're going to experience, so you kind of just go into it with this like sort of like confidence and this,
Hey.
uh,
Every
this vision, and you don't know how hard it's also going to be. Whereas for a second time founder, like
it's like you cracked your formula for especially that scenario or that case,
yeah.
and you just like, oh, I want this, I want that, go go go.
Yeah, so like I think it's quite complimentary in that manner. And yeah, it's been really enjoyable working alongside her. Especially like the summer is when we both went full time on Amera. And you know, uh when we started working on this full time together, and we've just achieved so much in the past like 2-ish months that we went full time. So it's exciting.
So no, I agree. Like going full time on startup has its own perks. Only thing is like you need to have that support system to support. Let's say 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months you need to build the bank balance of 80K or something. Just
Yeah, exactly. And so when we started essentially, uh, so when we started talking about Amera earlier this year, we spent a bit of time validating the idea, sort of the model. And once we graduated from that stage, we both went full time. In summer, we spent that time. So initially, actually, my thinking was, okay, like, let me go raise a little bit of money for this, and we can like go heads down, like start to build and, like launch like a little pilot. However, summer's not best time to fundraise at all. So we had to adjust our plans, and what we ended up doing, which I think I'm really grateful that we did, is we spent that time essentially securing a lot of partnerships, which is one of the 3 pillars that we focus on, with a lot of essential services that are built for immigrants, because so much of the time when you're navigating life in the US, like you don't know which services cater to internationals. When you move, like you don't have a social security number, you don't have a credit history, you might not even know what those things are for a while, right?
how do you get your part-time internships?
Yes, exactly. And there's like so many different types of paperwork you need to fill out for different things. There's like do's and don'ts, right? Um, but yeah, so like we focused on securing a lot of partnerships that helped with a bunch of these like different challenges. And we also spent a lot of time like on our go-to-market. So securing distribution partners. So even though we are building something that's, T2C or like for consumers, we spent a lot of time basically developing our go-to-market strategy. So we're using and we're partnering with universities and other organizations to basically provide our services to their communities. Because they already do, a bunch of different things. Like if you're a student, your university might have an international admissions office,
Yeah.
like student services, right? However, there are limitations to what they can and can't do, and that's where we see Amera coming in and being able to provide the advice and guidance that they can't, right? And like a university can recommend most likely that, this is the bank that you should use, this, like all these different things, and that's where we can come in. So we spent the summer building those partnerships out. And now, we have an audience of, around like 30,000 international students that's ready to be activated.
Yeah, indeed. What's your
Product.
Huge achievement actually, like even before launching the product, like making sure your distribution channels are ready, and like what were your challenges when you were approaching your distribution channel? Like
Yeah, I mean, it gradually started out a certain way, and then we did have to adjust sort of our a model. Yeah, so in terms of challenges, when we were going through that process, we actually initially were going to start
In 14 miles, speed camera ahead 25 miles per hour speed limit.
1 million of them in the US every single year, and around 300,000 new students come to the US every single year. So we initially got, okay, that's a decent, pipeline of new students who come in for us to basically start off with. However, we quickly realized that one, our own networks and people who were coming to us asking, when can they use our services, or they'd love to, this would be super helpful, were non-students, first of all. And a lot of the people that I was also personally helping through their visas, they were on, work visas. And even when we were having conversations with, people who built the companies before, or VCs, they wanted us to focus on a slightly larger market than just students. And also this we students are a further market to sort of sell to. So we decided to expand from just building for students to the larger market, essentially. So that was, I say, our biggest pivot or change from when we initially started. And yeah, so many little things along the way that we've adjusted our strategy on.
That's kind of interesting strategy as well, like going for targeting international students because you are focusing on it, and partnering with universities as well, as that would give good amount of users actually.
Yeah, exactly. But also with international students,
In 14 miles speed, the 25 miles per hour speed limit.
it's possible because by the time you get to them, if you don't actually if you weren't going after students, or if they weren't building for students, then by the time that they're in the workforce, they're already at a disadvantage because they don't know what they might need to know, right? They don't know what their options are. And for those on a
In 600 feet speed camera at 25 miles per hour.
your line is a privilege. So you want to get to the hazards will see assist volume and give them access to the information that they need to know and exposure to different options while they still have that privilege of time.
No, I agree with you. Thinking back, what you said, targeting earlier because before it is too late for them.
Yeah. You just have a larger impact when you're able to get to, people as early as possible.
Yeah. You are basically helping them. It's like helping a kid when they're younger.
Yeah.
To give right tools to grow properly.
They might not have the same sense of urgency that, someone who's here on a work visa for, X amount of time may have. Or perhaps even when you talk about students, there's undergrads versus grads. Undergrads, you're here for 4 years versus grads 2 years. So the sense of urgency differs, right? But again, in terms of impact, I believe that you really need to get people as early as possible and just educate them about their options.
I agree with you. What do you think it was biggest advantage when you were going through your distribution channels, or the startup had? Because all the resources are available, but at the same time at different places.
Yeah.
And what do you think it was the biggest advantage for you that allowed the partnership, or enable the trust?
A couple of things. First being, I already had a network of individuals I could approach because at my last company, I also worked with universities and sold to them, to student organizations before. So I already had relationships that I could approach. And, also this time around, I think the biggest sort of advantage was the fact that I was just trying to partner with them for free. I wasn't trying to sell to them. And that is a very different conversation. And like those two things combined, I think were what helped us get started. So we approached our own like alma maters and just people that we had in our network to begin with. And just from those like handful number of conversations, like they have international student bodies of around 30,000 combined.
Mm.
And that's, a good enough like population for us to get started with in terms of doing a pilot.
Let me know if you need more. I also have contacts with my alma mater.
Yeah, exactly. And every time we talk to someone like who's an immigrant and who's been there, like, you should talk to my university. We're like glad.
Yeah, that's like very helpful. Like I would say like that would have been very useful tool, like even for the future people who are coming in, and it is very impactful in a way that like very only the people faced it will understand it,
Exactly.
and people from outside do not understand very well.
Exactly. And that's actually a point that has come up so many times in conversations, both with students and non-students. So in terms of an example for a student conversation, I was chatting with someone a couple of weeks ago who had expressed how, their university did have a good like international student like support system and resources. However, like their advisor, like they were never an international student or they're not an immigrant. So they're a good advisor, but like they've never been in their shoes before.
Yeah.
Right. And that does make a difference in a whole lot of ways. And I think just having the ability to like learn from and hear from people who've been there before, who know how painful it can be, because there's so many parts of this like process that you can quantify. It's like emotional and it's
Yeah,
mental. It's so many other things that when you have the ability to basically learn from, really knowledge from people been there before who know how hard it can be, it's really valuable.
no, I agree with you. I agree. Like it is even like when I was doing masters, lot of people during COVID.
Yeah.
So building like relationship with like just your seniors.
How
It was,
by the way.
which one during COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, don't ask. But lucky I had like I was working in a research lab. So I was initially thinking doing PhD. So like my goal was like not, so then like family circumstances came in and then I was like, oh, but at the same time, where do I want to be in, like if not this, what is the thing that I could do? And then like immediately I was like, dear professor, I cannot do PhD. Please accept my apology. You gave me like all this. And I'm still in contact with him today. But like what I've seen is like it was hard to get in touch with the community, even for master students, like during COVID. And the connections that you want to have, it was not had. So like I had to invent my own ways to get in touch and then like plan for my visa. Okay, H1B is not there, not happening. What is next? Like what are the things like that was like, I would say,
Yeah.
most like hectic. I would say like you basically have, as we are saying, like you're saying, mental as well as like it actually goes to physical health as well, because once your mental health gets affected.
Yeah, and that's why sleep is important. This, yeah, which is a conversation we were having before, that started recording. But yeah, sleep is, basic things are very important, like sleep, just nutritious food, um, exercise, like all just getting enough sunlight and vitamin D, especially if you live in New York City
Yeah.
in the winters, right? Just very basic things, so important.
Yeah, no, like I'm constantly exercising, but at the same time, like my sleep has been like, I think because brings out the ambitious side of me, like when things are very challenging, like I call it as fighter mode. So I go into the fighter mode of myself, and sometimes when they give no signal, that means they're giving green signal. That's what.
So my mother actually was one of the few, or actually the only woman I know who used to drive, like back in the days in Nepal. So she really wanted me to learn how to drive because, back home, like that was a big thing. Women didn't drive. They didn't have cars. Like they didn't really go out to work. They were housewives, right? Or homemakers. And even when I was little, apparently when my mom like asked me or like told me that, oh, you need to learn how to drive when you're older, I would apparently tell her, no, I'm just gonna have a driver. Like, why would I do? And now we live in a world of Ubers, which, you know,
And Waymo,
I haven't tried that. Have you tried it?
I have tried it like a couple of times. It's actually like really good. In a sense, like it reached beyond my expectation. And only thing like I struggled in the first time, like I'm like, okay, you have to say like the car to stop. Like even once you reach the destination as well. So it will look at a safe point to stop. So I did not know when to say stop. So that was like hilarious thing. So I think
Okay, what
I
learnings?
yeah, good learnings.
Did you try it in SF?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
I feel like Waymo was like really gonna be it will have a good future because it is one of the first robot taxis, and only thing is people are not accepting it. And given like how Uber and how the policies are changing, like let's say even in New York, just want to get an airport ride, it is from here to um airport is like $140 or something like that, $100.
Yeah, and I think you can just I forget how much they cost, but the difference between hailing a Uber copter from the city to JFK, like there isn't a large difference if the ride is costing like $120 or $40.
It was like I think I even checked like one time the blade copter. It was like 250 or something like that that time, and it was like off peak even for the helicopters. So I was like,
You can split that cost with someone. I mean,
yeah.
that's your Uber right there, which is insane.
And I think there is one additional service like that sends the car to get you and drop you off at Blade. I think there is like extended like platform that does that.
However, like the Waymos, it do remind me of, I don't know if you watched that movie. Uh, is it Don't Look Up? Or it's basically, like, yeah. Have you watched it?
I watched Don't Look.
I don't know if that's the same movie, but I have in my head. And bad with things. So promo this. Last night I was playing Heads Up with my friends. Like I was terrible. So
It's okay.
that explains.
It's okay. I'm also not good in like board games except Catan.
Oh, I used to love Catan when I was in college. I haven't played it ever since. But we used to like stay up all night playing Catan.
Next time we'll do your friends and my friends do Catan like seriously. We'll see who will win.
Yeah. I love in general like board games and playing different things and uh I'm a good sports and I get really competitive even though I might have never played something before or I absolutely suck at it. I just like the hype.
No, I do. I agree. Like there are several good board games, but at the same time, like it's hard to understand or win. So once you get hang of like understanding, just it's good time.
Yeah, yeah. I spent a lot of nights, well not a lot, but a handful of 5 a.m.s where we stayed up all night with our friends, where I basically bankrupted every single one of them in Monopoly.
Oh,
And then one time, like our friends, they were like, okay, we need to redo this. Let's do it the second night in a row, and we're gonna beat you. No, bankrupted them.
that's why you're a good startup founder. I used to play Monopoly with my parents. Then my friends were more into PUBG and all. I'm really bad at shooting games.
No, I tried, but I'm not good.
So Monopoly, I used to like bankrupt my parents, and my parents will be like, "Don't bankrupt us. We are your food. We are giving you food."
Yeah.
So that was like my board games. Like later after I moved here, there's a new section of board games. I liked it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, coming back, what do you think like founders, even like before we were talking about how should founder do fundraise?
Yeah.
This is for knowledge for first time founders.
Yeah.
What do you think like best strategy like for first time founders to do the fundraise?
So there is more or less a playbook that you can follow. It's a checklist of things that you need to pass together, including like I think the most important is what's your story, right? Like why are you doing this? Why do you care about this? And why are you the right person to do this? Do you have any unique like advantages or insights into this specific challenge and solution that you're building? Like those are like the basics that you need to nail down, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like more like tactical things or, just being organized in the sense of, okay, like here's in all the research that you did before you actually started, or, when you started working on this, having that together in a data room. Here's like, basically like just putting all those like that information in one place. So it's really easy for the investor or a potential partner on the other side to like understand, okay, and see that you've done your research, you're the right person to do this. There's clearly a large enough market for this to be, if you're raising venture funding, like to be venture backed, right? Um, Early stage, I think there is a bit of, do you need one? Do you not need one in terms of a financial like model? But you can build a very simple one on Excel or Google Sheets, right? But just having a good understanding of how economics works with your business, right? How they're gonna work. Like those are just like fundamentals that you need to have down. And then after that, it's so much more about okay, like who, like are you talking to the right person, right? So in different funds, with different like focuses, whether it's in terms of industry or stage. So who are going to be your people, your partners in the long run, right? So it's about finding the right person. Uh, the thing that's harder, I think, for first-time founders, especially if you don't already have a network and if you haven't been in the industry for too long, is just not getting enough like not having the ability to get warm introductions, for example, and you're having to do a lot of cold reach outs or um just trying to be creative and finding ways to get to people. I think that is the hardest thing because it is significantly easier to raise money when you get like 10 warm introductions to like the best species or your wish list of individuals that you want to raise money from. And if you're getting warm introductions from people that they trust, right? So I think for first-time founders, like that is a challenge, and especially for people who don't have the network, have the privilege of the network, but who do have that potential. So you do have to be, put resilience and push through. Also sometimes like throw a bunch of darts in the wall and see what sticks, right? But I think to begin with, it's having those fundamentals like nailed down and then trying to increase your proximity of like people who can get you to the right people or like just getting in front of the right people is the second like hurdle.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I'm hearing like when I was talking to a lot of people, um, what they said is like even your user story, like how you want to show it to users is entirely different compared to how you want to show it to investor system.
Yeah, because for users you're solving a problem. For investors, it's a lot about how are you going to build your business, scale your business, and make some money. And those are different conversations, right? There's definitely an overlap, but if it was a Venn diagram, like there's an overlap, but very different things.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. Like I see the Venn diagram like for mine, even though like you see how complex your vision is, like you see like huge lot of things in your vision, but at the same time, you have to have the ability to communicate it clearly to users what it is, as well as like to VCs and investors. Like, what are you going to do with, like, oh, 1 million I'm giving you? What are you going to do with the 1 million?
Exactly. Like, how are you going to use the fund? And what do you need it for?
Yeah.
And if you can't, like, articulate a clear plan for use of funds, like, why would I give you money, right? So, I mean, these are hopefully very, like, basic things that you are already working on, fundamentals, right? And, it's also helpful to think about, if you were on the other side, like, why would you trust someone to, like, go do this thing, this big thing? And also, like, does this have, ask yourself questions like, eh, can this be a billion-dollar company? And, really be realistic with, like, that type of conversation, because that's going to come when you're having those conversations with Liesel.
Yeah.
But yeah, just don't be afraid to ask yourself the other questions. And it's always very, very helpful to have thought about something. You might not have the answer for it, but to even have thought about it in some shape or form is really helpful. Cool. When those questions that come up in conversations, you don't want to be in positions essentially where you just don't have an answer. And sometimes that does happen, which is fine. And in those moments, just
You could say you can come back to us, or
exactly. Like, when you say we'll come back to it, do come back to it. But but then it helps build trust and show that you're actually going to do what you say you're going to do. Whereas a lot of times you want to have at least thought about it if you don't have an answer for it.
yeah. My goal of coming back to it is like, if I say come back to it, I will come back after meeting, just going out of it, go to the nearest cafe, figure out, and
Exactly.
directly message.
And that's also, again, like, when thinking through, like, different things, it's about, okay, like, here's this, like, thoughts or, like, this question that I don't have an answer to right now. And if you're not going to spend any more time on it at the moment, like, why are you deprioritizing it at the moment, right? Just even, like, answering the why as simply as possible to your own self, so that the next time it comes up with someone else,
Yeah.
you can, like, say, yeah, this is something I've thought about. However, I, decided to, like, basically not give it more time at the moment because of X, Y, and Z reasons. And it's said, this is what I focused on, right? So just, like, having, again, like, spend some time in answering those basic, like, what is it? Why, does it matter? Does it not matter at the moment? And how it's going to impact your company either now or in the future.
Makes sense. It is very insightful. Like, one is like founder story. Like, even when I was going through uh early stage, like, narrate one.
Yes.
A little bit, you might know. Other founder of leader knows Eric as well. That's what, like, he said. He said, like, what we see is like story and relevance, how you could solve, as well as like who are your team, like how are you building your team, and screw financials, like Santam does not matter because it's your day one company. And how are you approaching execution, like how do you these are like the things that matter.
Yeah.
It's like building a relationship, and like you want to have an honest relationship
Yeah.
when you're building something. So that is like very good to have for when you're doing fundraising, or like even with your users, or any company needs to be honest
Yeah.
to their users. It's not 1900s. And
Yeah.
yeah. What else? Oh, on the other question, follow-up question, warm introductions. How did you develop your first, like, all this warm introductions? Like, what was your strategy, like, developing those?
I mean, Coramera, I've built a company before this, scaled it to a certain like stage, and generally like people know what I feels. A bunch of people know what I feels, and uh like the summer I spent reconnecting with some of the people that I met through my previous company, and a lot of them who understood sort of how compelling or challenging this like space is and how there's a dire need for a solution. They offered warm introductions to people that they know who would have been a good fit for Emera. So that was super helpful. However, when I was doing this the first time, it was very different, right? I mean, at that time I was like 23, 24. Almost right out of college, more or less. On a student visa. So, uh, by stringing out things as I was going to it, as I was building the company, and there was a lot of, experimenting, trying to meet things, failing a whole lot of times, and I still fail a whole lot of times, but now I just have a better understanding, experience, and network. So I can sort of reduce sort of the margin of error, so to speak. But before it was a lot of like throwing a lot of darts at the wall, seeing what sticks, experimenting, and just learning from mistakes.
That is a interesting way to learn. Like I feel like I'm still doing like all these I'm creating my own formula per se.
Yeah.
Because like you do this, you do that, you make mistakes. Like my first like product evaluation was like food boxes for students. Like for at that point of time, groceries were increasing. So I went to the source, but at the same time, like there was a lot of competition in the market. So I'm like, no, this is not gonna happen. And then like I came to my current startup, and then like I used to throw like a lot of events back in San Francisco as well as in
Yeah.
um, LA during COVID, and
Kind of events.
it's like mostly like meetup events. Like, but at the same time, I used to cook. Like I used to cook like 10, 20 dishes.
Wow. Wait, what did you cook? That's a lot.
I cooked like there will be like definitely 2 to 3 items of Indian food.
Yeah, like
Uh,
what are like the crowd favorites?
Actually, dosa, but like the pesaratu, we call it as like uh, it's called pesaratu upma. So it's like a um green dosa with like filling. So that was like crowd pleasers. They were like, oh, make it to who you wanted to be impressed with. They will definitely like
Yeah.
bend your wish. So like make it to your partner. They'll stick.
Yeah, is that what you did?
I did that.
Incredible.
Yeah, I took the advice. I got like that feedback like almost from 40 people.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. And also, like, I would love to try that dosa sometime.
Yeah, definitely. And other crowd pleasers were like, I invented like other kind of pastas. Like it's Italians will kill me, but like I basically made like basil pesto with like mint, and those are the two things you don't want to mix.
Yeah.
And
Very interesting.
like had like different types of like cheeses like um mixed into to make like existing like how do you say um incorporating into like fusion dishes like Mexican dish like quesadillas. I did like made Thai foods. I made like French food. So like I did like to do everything during COVID.
I will expect an invite to the next
Definitely,
whatever get together you host where you cook.
definitely. I'll cook a lot of food. So
Wow.
yeah, currently I'm basically got a care package from my mom, so I'm just on the go of cleaning it up.
Yeah. Did she like send you spices and everything?
It's not spices, it's basically like pickles. So my home has like this thing like called coriander pickle, and it's not like found in you cannot see in any other home like in that way and that fashion. Like you basically like fry coriander until it becomes a bit black, and like add like ton of tamarind juice and like some other secret recipe that they make.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and then like my home has like one more style of eggplant dish making. So like they send the base. I still don't know the recipe, but I cracked it.
Nice.
So some of it I know, some of it like I make my own
Yes.
stuff. So yeah.
Love that.
So going through that, like I came to know all the pain points, and I'm like, oh, can I do this or can I? Then I went to the source, like asking like farmers, like, hey, can you help me with this? Like, I want this. So I set up like 40 um like farms like in Palo Alto area, like then like got like all of them onboarded in like just one weekend.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest achievement because it's never like what it does is basically connects like farms with like restaurants and restaurants and like people who wants to buy groceries, but like interlinking with user events. So like smaller picture is that, but like the bigger picture is this. So I was like, I built the platform, so I'm basically using the platform just for that purpose, like instead of like solving everything.
Yeah. I love
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I have so many friends and who talk about essentially either trying to build our own farm when we have, a backyard in the future, or basically having access like nearby. Because even if you go upstate here in New York, like there's like or like in the weekends there's farmer markets, right? And it's just really like good food that's like really good for you. And I feel like when you look at the news every other week, there's like some random, very basic like item that we usually have all the time that has some type of outbreak that's been recalled, and you don't know what you're eating or putting into your body. And yeah, so great idea.
And recently, what I came to know is like I started finding like even the farms, like I started doing the research, like what kind of farm it is, like what kind of they do, so that I want to put that story out as well.
Yeah.
I started feeling it as like my own. I'm not gonna say my own farm, but like if I have my own farm, like how would I do it? Like that's like take away from it. I went to upstate like last weekend, not last 2 weekends ago, and then I was I learned a lot as well. Like
Yeah.
it's a small town. Everyone like has a place that they come and talk, and finding that place is not easy. But luckily, like I stumbled onto that place, and everyone was like talking. They were like, "Come, like any weekend, I'll take you here, there." Like they were like, "I'm coming in end of the month."
Yeah.
That's what I said, and they were like, "The upstate New York has like so many lakes, but the lakes is surrounded by so many farms." So I'm basically like visiting on the end of the month just to partner up with those
Yeah.
farms. So hopefully it goes well.
Yeah. That sounds very fun as well. Just like going on a drive upstate in the fall and yeah, like being able to also like spend time in nature. I mean, because of what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I love nature as well. Like, and these are like things kept me interested, like solving, helping, preserving. Like when I come from India, like other places, I felt like nature has been destroyed. And there were sparrows when I was a kid in India, and now like when in my town, like I don't see any sparrows. And like what happened? Like just because radiation or whatever it is, like all the ecosystem that has been there has been destroyed. So like most of it. So it was like very sad for me. So I was like, I want to get good food, good things for a lot of people and make good memories. So that was like most driving factor.
Also, I feel like in a lot of cultures, including, I would assume yours, fine. So much of our memories and our culture revolves around food and enjoying food together, right? And yeah, it's an important part of our upbringing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, just like what I learned from my parents is like, you're meeting someone, you take like some food, and I follow till today, like whatever I can.
Yeah, thank you for the potsum.
So the story of the hot sauce revolves and like me finding like vendors and all the food, eh, all the food festivals in New York City,
Yeah.
and then like I found this guy who basically started like hot sauce company, like himself cooking at home in 2018.
Yeah.
And now he has his own home. He bought his home, and like now he has expanded into like multiple locations. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, think about New Yorkers don't care about honks. If you care about honks, like you cannot drive.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, last final message so that we'll talk normal. Uh, what is your final message to listeners of the podcast? And
Yeah, I mean, if you're an aspiring founder, uh, go do the thing that you've been thinking about. If you have an idea, take that next step. It's easier than you think, and you'll get there sooner, than you can imagine. Um, and if you're an immigrant, we're building resources for you. Basically building the toolkit that I wish I had the past 10 years. So we look forward to essentially building for you. And if you have any questions or need guidance on your immigration journey, feel free to reach out. Um, yeah, that's it.
thank you for driving with me today and being in the podcast today. And also, I hope success for you
Thank you so much.
and Nimera. And see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.